Hello, this is Thomas Wells, the body mechanic. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about TMJ. So TMJ is the common term people use to describe problems with their jaw. The TMJ is your temporo-mandibular joint, which is this joint right here between the mandible and the temporal bone of the skull. You can actually feel the joint right in front of your ear there. Now, the medical name that they use for problems with the TMJ is TMD, or temporo-mandibular disorder. So if you've followed any of my social media posts and read any of the things I've wrote on the subject, you'll know I'm of the mind that the majority of TMJ, TMD problems are actually really more in the realm of emotional problems, unexpressed emotions in particular. Anger is a big one, but that doesn't give you much to do at home as far as self-treatment. So I wanted to give you a little something to do on your own that can help with some of the tension and holding patterns that you can get around the jaw and the face. So first I wanted to go over a little bit of the anatomy here. I've got my iPad here to show you. So we're going to go over three basic groups of muscles here today. There are many muscles of the jaw and around the throat that are all relevant, but there are a few that are really easy to get to by yourself. So the first one I want to talk about is the temporalis. So the temporalis muscle is on the side of the head here. So the whole temporal area is covered by the temporalis, and that attaches onto the mandible there. And then we have the masseter. This is the big one that people think of when they think of their jaw. This and the temporalis are both muscles that close the mouth and help clench. So these tend to be, very tight and overactive. And then the third one that you may not have ever thought of or been familiar with is this platysma muscle. So if you're wondering what the platysma is, it's the muscle that does this kind of motion where you can draw down the corners of your mouth and make the tendons in your neck really stand out. That's your platysma you're engaging there. Now, while it's not technically a jaw muscle, if you do the release I'm going to show you for the platysma, it can help release the underside of the jaw. So it's important to have that balance between the muscles that close the mouth and the muscles that open the mouth on the underside. So these muscles don't just get tight, but when they've been tight for a long period of time, they can actually become a little bit thickened. The tissue itself can become thickened, and that's where this homework that I'm going to show you is going to come in handy. So without further ado, we're going to start on the masseter here. So the masseter, we're going to have four different strokes that we're going to use on this. These are all kind of massage strokes you're going to be doing by yourself. So the first is going to be starting right at the zygomatic arch, which is the bridge of the cheekbone right here, kind of on the side, right in front of the ear. So you want to start just below that, both hands. You're gonna find the bone, start just under that, and you're just gonna lightly press in so that you can hook the tissue with your fingers here. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull downward as you open your mouth. So you're gonna open your mouth as you pull downward. And you're gonna open nice and wide. And what you're doing is you're stretching that tissue away from its attachment on the zygomatic arch there. Okay, and then you're going to do some release from the mandible. So you're going to work down a ways from the top, and then you're going to work up from the bottom too. Same basic motion. So this time you're going to start at the jawbone and work your way up just a little bit from that. Press into the tissue, and then press up with your fingers as you open your mouth again. So this time you're kind of going against the direction of the lengthening of the tissue. Okay, so that's going to be two sets of passes that you do that are in line with the muscle fibers. Then we're going to do some passes that are transverse or perpendicular to the muscle fibers. So for this, the easiest way to do it is actually just to use the smooth part of your knuckles here. It's easier on your fingers, and it doesn't catch the skin quite as much as the pads of your fingers do. So what you're going to do, you want to do both sides at once. On all of these, you want to do both sides at once so it doesn't torque the jaw one way or the other. Okay, so you can use 2 knuckles, 3 knuckles, whatever's comfortable for you. And with the mouth closed but loose, you're just going to work your way back and forth sideways, like so. And you may find that one direction works better for you than others. And then once you've done a few passes of that, maybe 4 or 5 passes, you're going to do the same thing with your mouth slightly open. So it's just going to get different fibers. You have a deep and a superficial masseter here. This can help toggle a little bit between the two of those. Okay, so then moving on, we have the temporalis. Again, that's on the side of the head here. So these muscle fibers sort of fan out. They have this big fan pattern running all the way up into here, starting very narrow and widening at the top. So you're going to want to get different directions here. So what I suggest doing is pulling on the temporalis muscle as you open your mouth to find which fibers are the tightest. So me, it's the ones running straight up and down. That's where I have the most tension. So I'm going to hook into those fibers, and I'm going to pull, and I'm going to, push up against them as I open my mouth. And just work my way all the way up. And once you get to where you don't feel a lot of tension there, then you're going to work a different angle until you find kind of all the different vectors that have tension. You're not going to want to press really hard there. You have your sphenoid bone right there, which you definitely don't want to create any problems with, and it can be quite tender in there. Okay, and then for the cross fibering of the temporalis, once again, we're going to use your knuckles. You're not going to want to go both ways on this just because the hair tends to grow one way or the other. So for me, I'm just going to work backwards like that, just across the fibers. Again, just go wherever the tension is. You can do as many passes as you like, but get at least 5. You do them nice and slow. And again, do the same thing with your mouth open. And usually at that point, you're already starting to feel things getting a little bit looser. Now then the most complicated one, this is for the platysma. So for the platysma, you're going to start up under the chin. You're going to have your arms in tight, and you're just going to hook the tissue lightly with your fingertips, starting with your corners of your mouth down, like so, shortening the tissue. And then you're going to lean your head all the way back while you hook the tissue with your fingers. And you're going to do that from the chin all the way down to the collarbones. And you can do it several different angles here, but definitely at least get the front. So you're going to hook in, corners of the mouth down, and then lean your head back. Now, you're not going to be able to avoid getting a little bit of finger slide on the tissue. That's completely fine. It should still be pretty comfortable. And you're going to work your way all the way down. You'll often feel the most tightness as you get down a little lower towards the base of the neck. But again, this is going to help relax the underside of the jaw. So you can do this as often as you like. I have no illusion that this is going to solve your problem and get rid of your TMD, but it can really make it more manageable. And this is particularly good if you're having headaches. The headaches that tend to come from the TMJ are usually on the side of the head and sometimes behind the eye as well. But on the side of the head is a typical referral pattern for jaw headaches. So this is something you can definitely do. I've helped a lot of clients out just messaging them this basic protocol here when they've got headaches. So this will actually be helpful to have this finally on video for them to refer them to. So it's good for headaches. It's good for jaw pain, obviously. People with chronic TMD tend to not eat a lot of hard or crunchy foods. If you've had to do that or you've had to have really chewy food, something like that, and your jaw is sore, this is a way of loosening that up. And you can vary the pressure and the tension that you use to find something that's comfortable and that feels good afterward. You shouldn't feel beat up afterward, so you don't want to go too heavy-handed. So I hope this is helpful for you. I encourage you to give it a try, and I think it'll work for you. Thank you.